Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So we're going to dive into this one because I already have some cards out. I do have some spirits here that are connecting, and I just wanted to make sure I got the message correctly before we lay out more cards. So before we begin, over on the other channel, there is, in light of the recent eclipse cycle, there is a dark goddess energy subliminal. It's like an invocation to the forces of the dark goddess within you. This is perfect for you if you, for example, have recently lost power to a situation, or you need to regain and reclaim your own personal power in order to make things happen in this next phase of your life. Definitely check that out. That's linked in the description box below. It's also perfect for those of you who are currently working with the dark goddess, particularly Hecate, Lilith, or Ishkagal. There is also a return to love subliminal that's posting today for those of you who are working through heart space matters, for example, clearing your heart space, healing your heart space, or establishing more self-confidence and self-love. Definitely check that out, also in the description box. So let's go ahead and let's begin. Okay. So right off the bat, one of the energies that I am getting here is an older gentleman who is in spirit, particularly an older gentleman in spirit who seems to be stepping in for your ancestors. Whoever this message is for, you're probably aware that your ancestors are with you. You might even work with your ancestors. I am getting that someone here practices ancestor veneration quite heavily. Now, there is this energy. So I want to show you the cards first. So the first card that we had was scrying and intuition. So whoever I'm connecting to, you have a very strong intuition. But this card actually is saying a lot to me, more than just intuition. We'll get to that. And then we have the death card next to it. This is the next card that came out, which is what kind of confirmed for me that I am dealing with the ancestors. Here we have the hearth, which is happiness in our hearts and homes. Okay. And then we have ancestors came out. So the lore and legacy of our DNA. Whoever this message is for, currently, you recently ended some sort of cycle that you may feel is a cycle that was just yours. And the ancestors are stepping through because it is not just yours. This is an ancestral cycle. There are ancestral patterns that are being healed by you in this lifetime, and you're probably someone who is very well aware of that. This is one of the reasons why our soul incarnated into the bloodline that it did, right? Whoever I'm speaking to, you may be aware that you incarnate frequently to do this work. This is a part of your work in uplifting the vibration of humanity here on Earth. You may be someone who recognizes yourself as a healer in a different scope, right? Maybe you don't necessarily, or maybe you do. Maybe you do practice like traditional modes of energy healing. But for many of you, you don't. You just know that you're doing the self-work, and in doing the self-work, you are clearing up patterns within your family, right? It ends with me is the energy that I'm getting here. I do feel that many of you are very isolated, and you have self-isolated in order to do this work. It's kind of like a butterfly who goes, a caterpillar who goes into a cocoon to become a butterfly. And butterflies, even after they transform, they still don't really hang out with other butterflies. They might flock to the same bush occasionally, but they're not really pack flies, right? And so you've learned a great deal of independence inside of your life. Whoever this message is for, you may have had some attachment issues that you had to overcome. You may still be struggling with attachment issues because of this. Here with the scrying and the intuition, I do think that seeing spirits, or at least knowing what was going to happen before it happens, started for you at a very, very young age. And there may be an interest in magic, mediumship, shamanism, and or mysticism. Some of you have kind of gone the path of mysticism here. I'm seeing that there's a huge unfolding that's taking place here within our solar plexus over the years. And this is reclaiming our personal confidence, again, our independence, our personal power. With the hearth, there is an importance with the fire. Okay, some of you may be utilizing that, some of you may not be aware of that. And connecting with your ancestors, fire is very important. Fire is the gateway of spirit. It's the most subtle element before we reach the element of akasha or ether, and which is where spirit resides, right? So this is a portal, a gateway for someone to use. If you've been having a hard time establishing contact with your ancestors, or feeling that your ancestors are near, remember to try to use fire. One of the things that's taking place with your ancestors is a heavy protection energy. Now, you guys, if you've watched me for any length of time, you know that I don't normally bring through protection messages. The reason why this protection message is coming through is because there seems to be something or someone that you've recently disconnected with that has a high degree of magical ability of their own, even if it's unconscious. And this individual is thinking about you or projecting at you. This is going to be something that you've encountered before with this person. So if you have someone you've disconnected from and you're like, oh my God, really? This isn't your message. Okay. This part of the message is for people who it's just confirming something for them. And so this is one reason why your ancestors are stepping forward. Your ancestors have stepped forward before this ending even took place. Okay, so you may have had an experience with those ancestors before that. One of the things that's wrapped up in whatever it is that you just closed out is a karmic cycle. And I'm not talking about, and there's a reason why I want to specify this, because normally I would just leave it and let people interpret it how they want to. I'm not talking about karma, right? This is an idea that personally I don't hold. I believe that karma is something that takes place inside of us. And so this is the work. That's why it's called self-work, right? And this is how we heal karma, is by doing self-work. Inside of the ancestors, this is work that was never done, right? Whoever this message is for, you have a warrior signature, and this is why this work is being done through you. You are someone who has lived lifetimes where you have fought wars, you've had to fight battles, and so you're not a stranger to hardship. You're not a stranger to hardship in this life either. And whatever you've recently disconnected from, there was a great deal of denial involved in that situation. I don't want to necessarily say from your end, though certainly there's going to be a degree of that if we're being honest, but there was a certain degree of denial on the other person's end as well. And again, with the World card showing up, the major theme is closing out cycles. And so you've closed out a major cycle here. There were lessons learned here. And these lessons that were learned are lessons that will change the course of your bloodline should you choose to continue it. Okay, here we have the Tower. And so again, a major ending has taken place here. The World, the Tower, these are big energies, right? This is a major arcana deck, so all the cards that are coming out are going to be big energies, but these are big energies of finality, right? Some solidified structure inside of our ancestral DNA has been completed. It's been torn down and completed. And while these ancestors maybe in their lives didn't take responsibility for this cycle, they showed up to help you, to inspire you, to protect you as you took this cycle down on your own. Let's see. I don't know if I said this. I am getting heavy like priestess energy. And so what I mean by that is you may have had a recent life or a very distant life where you were anything from ranging from a nun all the way to a shaman, all the way to a priestess of a particular deity. There's something here about being a holy person, having filled that role many, many lifetimes. If you were not necessarily a holy person, then you were certainly born into a group of people that were very spiritual. There's a lot going on in that energy here that's tied into this life. We have the Page of Pentacles. This is a new beginning for somebody. So the ancestors are here to see you into a new beginning. There may be something about a reflection that we've carved or an identity that we've created for ourselves that we're starting to assess here and we're starting to weigh. So someone here, it's almost like, who am I actually? And there's also this weighing of, I want to say, the parts of us that are conscious against the parts of us that are unconscious, with those two jack-o'-lanterns. One has a candle on, the other doesn't have a candle lit. Candle on. Maybe it's an electric candle. And the other one doesn't have a lit candle inside of it. And these two are kind of cycling each other. They're influencing each other, right? So someone here, you're very aware of your subconscious spaces and your shadow material influencing yourself, influencing your behaviors, your actions, your choices. And we seem to be trying to inject more light into those spaces, trying to become more aware of the things that we're not aware of. Okay, we have the Eight of Ghosts. Again, heavy on the themes of leaving something behind. Tower, World, Death, Eight of Ghosts, which is the Eight of Cups. Something that we cherished, something that we valued, something that we possibly spent years pouring into, something that we poured emotionally into, is something that we have left behind. Okay, and then we have the 10, another ending card. We have the 10 of Swords. It's interesting because this is all showing up after this Page of Pentacles. And so what this is saying to me is that we're in a new beginning, and in this new beginning, even more is getting taken down. right? There's more and more and more that we're seeing, that we're taking down. I feel that for whoever this message is for, this is not just about situations or relationships that we're ending. It's patterns of behavior. It's as we keep on in this journey where we've left this cycle behind, something is getting easier about seeing the hidden pattern, and we're changing it. We're getting rid of it. We're pulling those swords out of our own back that we've placed there. This is about removing the mechanisms of self-sabotage that have kept us stuck, have kept us small, have kept us in undesirable patterns for our entire life. So this is really good. This is amazing, actually. This is pretty amazing. Let's see. This is why your ancestors are rolling through, because you're in a very important part of your life. This is a very important healing phase, important journey, not just for this life, but for your soul's evolution here. Okay, we have the King of Cups. A lot of these things are emotional things, right? How do I not overextend myself because I feel that I owe it to people, or I feel so caring that I allow, X, Y, and Z into my life? How do I not allow these things? I believe that I said this in the beginning. Sometimes so much information comes in that I'm not aware of what I'm saying, what I'm not saying. I got this message before I hit record also, when I was trying to sort things out. One thing that I'm seeing, if you've recently reconnected with an individual, right as this sort of ending was happening, understand that it's the same energy trying to come back in. So it's not about this, if, for example, the situation or the person, it's about the energy or signature that they carry, right? This energy signature is still trying to cleave to you through a different form. And so you may have received intuition or messages from your ancestors to create distance between yourself and whatever this is. Don't get too close to it, in other words, because if you get close to it, you're essentially opening up this cycle again. This is coming back in a different way that is a little bit more manageable for us to sift through. Because the point isn't to push these things away entirely. And I'm not talking about people, I'm not talking about situations, I'm talking about energy signatures, right? The archetype, the frequency. It's not about pushing those things away, because these are things that have to be integrated inside of us, right? So whoever has shown up and reconnected inside of your life, you may be understanding, wow, you have a lot of similarities to this thing that I just left. Or if it's a situation, the situation might have a lot of similarities to what you've just left. You are now being given an opportunity to monitor how close and how entwined you become. So a little bit more distance between yourself and whatever has just reappeared will allow you to be able to use that situation to integrate the information you need to, so that this frequency doesn't have to show up for you anymore, right? Until you do that, this frequency will continue to show up. Some of you have understood that. That's how you've ended this cycle. Some of you don't necessarily understand that yet. And so it's showing up in a very small way. Page of Pentacles again. It's showing up in a very small way. And so you may be weighing, how much do I want to interact with this? How much do I want to learn from this? Okay. Okay, and then we have the Queen of Swords. Moving from the King of Ghosts to the Queen of Swords. The King of Ghosts is the King of Cups. And the King of Cups isn't my favorite king. I'm going to be honest. And no offense to anybody that resonates as a water sign. It's nothing about you. It's the archetype of the King of Cups. The King of Cups, he is super emotional. But because he's so super emotional, he can sometimes go cold. Right? He can flip into that King of Swords energy quite strongly. Now, the Queen of Swords as an archetype, I feel that she's a little misunderstood. All right? So people say that she's the bitch of the tarot, and sometimes she shows up for me that way. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes she does show up for me that way. But if you look at it, even inside the Rider-Waite, she has one hand open, right? She has compassion. She has empathy. She's willing to hear you. She's just not going to take your bullshit. And that's having good boundaries. The Queen of Swords is the Queen of Boundaries. And so whoever this message is for, we've we are learning more boundaries over our own emotional spaces, right? Not to necessarily be a bleeding heart, not to help everyone, not to do all these things and extend ourselves in ways where then we look back and we're like, wow, I got used. Why do people use me? Because you let them. Like, because you let them. Right? And this is what the Queen of Swords is learning. And so someone here, this is part of what you've learned in this cycle that you left behind. Why do you get taken advantage of? Because you let them. Right? Why did this person do XYZ inside of your life for so long? Because you let them. This is a hard conversation someone has had to have with themselves to transition from the King of Cups into the more mature Queen of Swords. Because the King of Cups, even though he is the height of emotions is not mature emotion, right? He may be a mature man, but he is so deeply immersed inside of his emotions that he's lost sight of his boundaries. And this is one reason why you always see the King of Cups surrounded by tumultuous waters, because those emotions are tumultuous. Okay. We have the Seven of Ghosts. This is the Seven of Cups. Right now, someone is very much thinking about their future. They're daydreaming. They're thinking of all the possibilities. Some of you may be thinking too much about the past, and so that's just a little bit of advice to take that energy and place it on your future and to daydream about your future instead. There's something that I always bring up inside of I do think some of you are really thinking about the past a little too much. Some of you may be worried about the future, in which case focus on the positive, right? Focus on what it is that you want for your future, not what you're afraid is going to happen. So many of us, we spend so much of our mental and emotional energy focused on what we don't want, and this is why our lives are chaos. This is why we manifest chaos around us. Our manifestations only happen when our emotions, our beliefs, and our willpower are in alignment. This is how we manifest. When they're kind of all over the place, guess what wins? Not what we think that we consciously want. It's what we're sending out from a subconscious level, which are part of our emotions and our beliefs. So if you believe, oh no, all these bad things and I don't know what's going to happen and oh my God, there's beliefs wrapped up in that, right? There's beliefs that good things won't happen to you. There's beliefs that things don't work out for you. There's beliefs that the shoe won't drop. And, we've persisted in that belief our entire life, which is why that's always been true. So someone here, you're really being guided to take control of your beliefs and your emotions and your willpower, and to direct them so that you can daydream about them, daydream about the positive things. Remember when you were a kid and you daydreamed about all those positive things and you got really excited about them. Our willpower is not necessarily strong when we're children. We have strong egos, right? We have that kind of will, but our divine willpower is not necessarily honed just yet. And so we don't necessarily manifest what it is that we want. For some of you, you did. You did. If you really go back and you think about it, you did manifest certain things that you wanted. Others of us, though, it's only when we come into our self-sovereignty that we're able to manifest that or build up that type of willpower. Whoever this message is for, you're in a perfect position to manifest. So take your energy back from those worries, from those Nine of Swords, and project them into your future with confidence, right? It doesn't mean that the future is going to look exactly how you want it, but it means that you can at least steer the direction of that ship. Let's see. Tell me one more card. Okay, I'm just going to say it because I've had three names running through my head as I've been trying to connect to this older gentleman energy. And so I'm just going to say it. Gregory, Philip, and what was the other one? It was Joseph. Gregory, Philip, and Joseph. So those are the three names that are coming through. It doesn't mean that if those names didn't resonate for you that you don't have an ancestor. It's just those three names keep going through my head over and over. Okay, here we have the spider, community and web weaving. Okay, so again, with that last message about thinking about what it is that you want in the future, remember that you are weaving your own story. You're weaving your own web. You can either weave something with your energy, with your thoughts, with your emotions that you get caught inside of, or you can weave yourself into something good, right? When we have these negative things that we're constantly thinking about, guess what happens? It controls our decisions. It controls what opportunities we accept. It controls the direction that we take. Someone who believes that they'll walk outside their door and have potential for opportunities is more likely to leave their home than somebody who feels like if they walk outside their door they're going to be unsafe. And so the person who feels that way is always going to be inside their house where nothing good ever happens to them, whereas the other person will go outside of their house where they do have opportunities and good things can happen to them. This is how this works, right? It's very practical. I know a lot of times inside of manifestation we inject it with a high level of woo, which is why so many people have a hard time really adopting those principles. And while the woo is there, it absolutely is there. And if you have a lot of experience with it, you'll know that. You'll know that there are absolutely magical things that happen when we take control of our emotions, our beliefs, and our willpower. But for the most part, it's highly practical. It's highly practical. You make completely different decisions for yourself, and you show up for yourself in a completely different way when you believe in positive outcomes and in the best for yourself. And you deserve to believe in the best for yourself, right? Because if you don't, why would anybody else need to? So show up for yourself in a different way in this new cycle. I think that a lot of you are doing that. I do think that there is a heavy dose of balance that's coming in for whoever this message is for. So if you've been in a place where you feel like things are unfair, things are unbalanced, you're going to find that that changes. But you have to stay in a positive mindset as you go forward in the Seven of Cups energy, daydreaming your future. So whoever this message is for, these are big energies. This is a very big time for you. There's a lot of perception shifts. You may feel a little bit at a standstill right now and not really know what direction to go in. This is a perfect time to just allow yourself to be vulnerable and trust, because there is a lot of direction and guidance happening. Tune into your intuition. It may not necessarily be a time for action just yet. If it is a time for action, make sure that you are following your highest timeline, right? So dream big. Don't settle. Yesterday's message, good is good, but we're going for great. Remember that as you go forward. So whoever this message is for, I wish you the best of luck with this, and until next time.